Hi everyone, this is going to be a quick video to just demonstrate some of the things we did in class today. So you can use this as help for your assignment. It'll be pretty similar to what you can expect on that tonight. So you can just follow along with this and you should be able to replicate it with different data. All right, so I think the first question is going to ask you to essentially take some data that you have, kind of like this, and let's create it's going to ask for a percent frequency table by, I think, movie genre on the assignment, but here we're going to do that by age. So that just means we're going to create a table where we break down, we essentially want to count over the number of cases of the different age groups. And like we said earlier, we could do this by hand. There's not that many of them, but we want to use the tools that we have available to us as much as possible. So the easiest way to do this, and literally it should just take minutes to do this, is we're going to use a pivot table. So if you look under the Google Sheets options data, you can find a pivot table, and we'll go ahead and select our data here to make sure that we have everything available to us, and we'll go do a new sheet. Okay, all right, now we get our options over here for our pivot table. Again, we want to try to keep this as simple as possible. They're kind of giving us some suggestions, but I'm going to go ahead and add rows. We want the counts. We want to count up by age, the age categories. Okay, all right, so by adding those rows, now the nice thing is the software has broken them into the groups for us, and that's very convenient that we've got here. All right, now the next thing, we don't want to put columns in this case. We just, again, want a simple table. I'm going to skip columns and go to the values. Okay, all right, and so again, we want the values are going to have something to do with the age. So we'll click on that. And the first thing that it actually provides for us is the count. So it's going to count up over those distinct cases that we have before. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so we can see that there's 30 cases of the 25 to 34, 21, and 19, 70 total people in our data that we are playing around with here. Okay, now the only other thing we have to kind of think about is we wanted a percent frequency table. These are just the raw counts, so we might need to change that. So here, in this case, you can see under the values, it says show as, just the default, those are just the counts. We can change that. In this case, percent of grand total is always something that we can use. And now we've got our percent frequency table to answer that question. Okay. All right, now if we wanted to too, we could create a chart from this, which is what the next question, or pretty close to the next question, would be. We want to create some kind of bar chart. To do this, I'm going to go ahead to make this chart. I'm going to select just these values right here. I'm including the labels for age and count of age here, and then I'm going to insert chart. Okay, it's probably going to give me some idea here. All right, and that is, let me see if we can make this a little bit easier to read. So I'll make it a little bit smaller. All right, so it's pretty natural that they'd assume we'd want a pie chart here, but we'll want to change this to a bar chart. Okay, all right, so we're good, except that I'm gonna go ahead and right click on the chart at some place inside of here just to allow me to edit it. I'm gonna change the chart style. Okay, so here we can kind of play around with it. I'm going to go from customize here to setup, and it's gonna ask for the pie chart. It's not like a huge deal. Pie charts would actually be okay here. The bar charts sometimes are a little bit easier for people to read. And that's why we kind of want to switch it up right here. So here, the pie chart, we're just going to change it. I kind of like this. The horizontal bars look pretty nice. All right. And so there we've got our bar chart. It looks pretty good. This is exactly kind of what we're looking for. We can mess around and play, change the title if we want to. Right here, we know this is just like a bar plot for age. Okay. All right. Now, the last bit is going to ask you to use that pivot table option just a little bit easier here. And we might do that. Again, you can redo this. Like it might actually be easier. Like this is probably good just to kind of keep it like this. Here's your pivot table. If we go back to the student loan debt site right here and we have our stuff highlighted, we can go ahead and do a new pivot table. The next question is going to ask, you want it like the sum or the total? So this is kind of an interesting question. What if we want to know how much is the total debt by those different age groups? So that's a kind of an interesting question. All right, so let's make a new table in this case. So I'm going to do rows. We're going to add age again. Okay, so that's good. Now my values, here's where things are going to change. I want to use the variable student loan debt. So I want to break up across the categories of age. And in this case, actually, you can see we've got several options that we can do here, but sum is what we really want. It's going to add up all of the outstanding student loan debt for those different age groups that we've got. And then it gives us a nice total here. So we can see a majority of that student loan debt, most of the people were in that 25 to 34 age group, just like that. All right. If you want to, we can change these. It's nice. It kind of names it for us, pivot table 3. But if we want to say this is like table sum of student loan debt, something like that, just so you know kind of what's happening. This, in this case here too, what do we got? This is the bar plot, or this is like essentially frequency, age or by age, just so we kind of understand. Okay, so I hope this helps. Um, Actually, very similar process as you go through and do this on your own. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward and you don't run into too many problems.